Greetings.
And Kylie, are the protections put into our Zoom that they had to put in place for the plan commission Zoom meetings?
Hold on a second.
Okay. They are. Okay, good.
I just gotta get all the way set up here. And the mic, there isn't a mic over here.
There's no mic over here.
One broke the other night.
That's
Oh.
the one.
So
There's no.
I think you can take them out, yeah.
That's okay. We could switch spots potentially. Oh, yeah.
Could we take one from,
No, there's mics. This, I can use, grab the stand so I don't have. They're testing me. 'Cause,
this test.
Thank you.
All right. We all set?
Yeah.
All right, we'll call to order the September 15th, 2025 Parks, Recreation and Forestry Commission meeting. Kylie, do you have roll call?
Yes, all members are present, other than Lily Tressler. She is absent tonight and excused. We have a quorum.
All right. First order of business will be any edits to the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Okay, I will accept the minutes as submitted. On to our new business. So first agenda item will be the tree removal request for a tree on North Avenue.
Okay, greetings. I brought this to the agenda tonight. This is a request for a tree removal by Philip Rowe of Rowe Construction and Design on behalf of his clients. So at 7108 North Avenue, there is currently a house there, and the resident and this design company's plan is to remove that house and to build a new house on site. And they have submitted a design that features a driveway that comes right out to the terrace where there's currently a City of Middleton street tree. So they've requested removal of that tree, and I have some information about the tree here. So the tree in question is tree number 13684. It's a 2-inch diameter that's measured at 4.5 feet above the ground. Tulip tree located. Their location there. It was inspected as part of the 2024 street tree inventory in late September of last year. It was a 90 out of 100 or excellent condition. The only defect noted was lawnmower damage. So generally that's some wounds to the base of the tree. So there's perhaps two things at stake here. There's the removal and loss of the tree, but potentially then a loss of planting site as well. So if the tree is removed and the driveway's put in, obviously that planting site will not be available for a large shade tree. And my understanding of the current condition, and I think Kylie's going to bring up the site plan.
Do you want me to bring up
Actually,
any of these?
let's do.
I brought up that one. That one's loading. This one? This one.
Yeah, I like the map
This one?
there.
Okay.
Do you have an actual picture?
I think
mean,
is
I
this the
don't
tree?
know
Yeah,
where
the
they-
four.
That is the tree, and I think I have a picture.
Yep, there's a picture
okay.
right here.
But I think other people should see the whole lot.
Yep,
Okay.
we're pulling that up right now. So Kevin, did you?
Okay. Yeah. So go to the tree. That was a request I heard. The picture of the tree right there. So that's for reference. That's the picture of the tree. This tree was planted. I think I have it on here. Planted in 2020. And so if you bring up the site plan, which I think, or this site map. Site plan, do
Is
the
that one?
next one.
I have that pulled up already.
That one, perfect. Yeah, so this is from DCI map. It's a aerial photo with the parcel lines on there. The existing tree is the green dot there. The blue and purple line is water service. And then uh, so those are all from the GIS layer. And then I basically just sketched in this orange dashed line. That's the approximate position of overhead lines. So the existence of those overhead lines currently would prevent that the other side where the driveway is now from being a potential site, and also the underground conditions. So if you have a driveway there now, removal of that driveway, you can imagine the compacted soil or base material under that. And our street tree opening permit, which is what is required by the Public Works Department to do work in the terrace, requires a remediation of 6 inches of topsoil put on there. So even putting in the topsoil there doesn't end up with a great planting site. So you had a question?
Yeah, I have a question, and this comes from having been on the Middleton Hills Architectural Review Committee for a long time. Did they explain why they didn't just flip the design of the house so that it's reversed and the new driveway would go over the current driveway?
No, they didn't explain that. I was in email conversation with Philip, and my impression was that he was going to be here tonight to answer some of those questions, but he's not on Zoom and obviously not in attendance here. So I think it's a good exercise for the commission to look at, because these would be something that, as I see them, I'd like to bring to this commission for review. So yeah, I think it's a fair question to ask
On
why you
Zoom
wouldn't.
now.
Oh, perfect. I think that's a fair question.
Let's,
problem.
if he's willing to speak on behalf of the project, I'd like to hear from
Perfect.
him.
Yep.
Says I could not hear the question.
And so do you have the ability to let him unmute and
Oh, you know what?
The question is why the design intent of the driveway is to put it on the east side instead of the west side of the plot where it is currently.
Or in essence, flipping the whole design of the new construction.
And he's not muted. Philip? Philip, can you hear us? Shows you're on mute.
Here, he said, hold on, getting my mic up.
We are not on mute because we're using the microphones and not, yeah, so it is tricky. Good point.
So this is a new build.
So it looks like,
okay, so he said he has to switch computers.
working on it.
While he gets his technology, his tech situated, I have another question. Can you go back to the satellite view?
Yep. So that was the one that said, yep, there
Yeah.
you go.
Couldn't help but notice the house directly to the left there's no terrace tree in front of the house directly to the left. And obviously you can't put it on the water main. Is there a reason, let's just say hypothetically right now, we would say, okay, go forward with the project, take down the tree. Could he still put a terrace tree in front of that house on the left, like kind of where that sidewalk is, that comes from the house, or, somewhere over there? And because and I actually drove down this afternoon, and there's no tree coverage at all in this like 3-house stretch. And some of that is because of the overhead power lines. Some of it is that they just, the private property owners don't have trees in their yard, but it's pretty treeless. And it'd be wonderful if it's a possibility to put one into that house immediately to the west.
Absolutely. So I attached chapter 20, which is our forestry ordinance on here, and there'll be some things in there that are the restrictions to where we can plant. So it's like distance from an intersection, distance from a driveway, distance from underground utilities. So we need to be 10 feet from that water that's coming in. But as long as we're 15 feet from the driveway and 10 feet from that water, and we don't have conflicts with overhead, yeah, that's a planting spot.
Okay.
And that's something that when we see our inventory data, which I expect in like late October, we should have an inventory of planting spots in there. And that hopefully will recognize where there are vacancies.
Just a quick question, being newer to the committee, would you transplant a tree that size or it's just done?
No, that's I wouldn't even consider that an option. It's something that I think perhaps the I want to call it the designer might have suggested, and we've heard that before, but it's too complicated to ensure the success of it. So if we approve this request, it would mean that tree would be cut down. And you had
Yeah, my question is regarding cost, whether it is just the removal of the tree in question right now or the addition of a new plot with a new tree, whether this would be the city's responsibility or if it would be the owner's responsibility.
And I think as a commission, we could probably give guidance on that.
yeah.
Which just,
I would say that I see kind of three options here. You could simply deny the request. You could approve the request to have for the tree removal, or you could
Can you hear me now?
approve the request with remediation of the site that's
Are you able to hear me?
and or compensation for the tree.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
are you able to hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Thank you for joining us this evening. And one of the questions that came up earlier, so I'm the chair of the commission. So one of the questions that did come up was why couldn't you flip the design to have the driveway over the basically over the current driveway location? Why it has to the new driveway would have to slide over to the east?
Mainly because this is what my client was asking for as for a design. If you look to the house to the west, that house is pretty much in ruins. His main living space of his house is currently in the new design would be on the east side of his property, which then would allow him to visualize when looking out into his main living spaces. He has a nicer backyard to look into. The neighbor to the west has much more care in their property than the property to the west. And if we flip the house around or mirror it around, my client would then be looking at a basically building that looks about ready to fall down. That was one of the main reasons. The other reasons is sunset, to have some late night sun come into his property on the rear of his house where he would be living, at that time after work. Those are the main kind of reasons of why he wanted to, or they wanted to take and flip the driveway around. One thing I know that it states on my site plan, but we haven't seen that yet, is that currently the electricity is overhead, and that is correct. And the goal is to make the electricity become underground. And so when I was talking with Kevin via emails back and forth, and I've visited the site many times, yes, the current driveway location is probably a pretty optimal location for a new tree once the overhead power lines become underground. That was my first gut reaction on this whole process. I also looked up and down the street. There are, I don't know, there might be 3 or 4 trees on this whole street that are in the public right of way. You could even look at the neighbor's house to the east if there's an opportunity to plant another tree because we removed one. It looks to me like the neighbor's house to the east in their median section or right of way, there's a pretty good location for a tree to go there. My client is more than willing to take and replace the current tree and put it, put a new tree in the curb or the right of way once we demolish everything and remodel the house. As Kevin stated, and I read, we got to dig down 20 inches at the curb because the soil is too compact. I'm not an arborist by any means, but that's something that our client is willing to take on if that's what you request as a council.
Okay, thank you for that information. Does anybody have any questions for Phil?
Don't need to ask Phil, but I just want clarification. Cause I don't know about anybody else, but I have having a little bit of a hard time hearing. But he's saying the homeowner is willing to purchase another tree to go in the terrace, am I right? Or did I hear that wrong?
Assume the cost.
I think
Of
that's
it.
what, that's
Yeah.
what my take.
Correct.
is.
Yes, yes. And when I took an arborist out onto the site, he didn't specifically say yes or no, but he did say that tree potentially has the opportunity to be spaded and picked up and dropped into a new location on that property or in the right of way. He did not say that there was a 100% guarantee, but I can, if that's an option, it's something that I'm definitely, or my client is definitely willing to look into doing, if need be by the council to approve the removal of the existing tree.
And that question was brought up while you were swapping out your computers, and our city forester said that that's probably not going to be able to be happen just because the risks of the longevity of the tree at that point.
Okay,
Maybe to be more specific, we wouldn't accept it at another location in a terrace.
Okay.
But if this request was approved and the client wanted to spade it out and put it in somewhere else in the yard or in a different place, I would feel like that's better than,
Okay.
removing the tree.
Killing it, yeah.
Mhm.
My question for you, Phil, is who would be you mentioned moving, the intention being to move the electrical that's overhead currently underground as part of your project. I'm wondering if that would be part of the construction. Would that be you guys' responsibility? Would that be something the city needs to do or take part in?
as far as my understanding, it's between the electrician, MG&E, and road design and construction to create that to happen.
Can you repeat that? It was very difficult to hear.
It's between MG&E, Madison Gas and Electric, and my electrician, as well as myself. That is our goal and our intent to put the underground or the overhead underground. I've done this many times in the last 5 years, mainly because we have so many large trees in Middleton that when we have a power outage, trees fall on the power lines and cause damage. And so the expense that it costs for my client to take and do this as an underground is pretty minimal in the grand scheme of them losing electricity because a tree falls on the power line. It's happened on my property. I live on Wood Road in Middleton. I did a house across the street from me. And so it's just something that we try to force our clients to doing versus having it become overhead. So do I know for a fact that it can be done? I don't, because I reached out to my electrician last week. He was going to get MG&E involved to see what the process is, when we can get out there. But I haven't got a confirmation back yet on if that is physically approved, but I've never heard any issues with it not being approved. And MG&E typically wants all of their overhead to all their residential properties to become underground. And within 5-6 years ago, actually MG&E allowed it for zero cost to all of our clients, to everybody in this, everybody at MG&E, and they found out that everybody started doing this and they started losing money. So now the homeowners are having to pay for it.
Yeah, and I do know that MG&E has they're working on burying a lot of the electric utilities around the city. for a lot of the reasons stated. I mean, it's a very long, slow process and expensive process, but this is kind of in line with what MGE's goals are as well. Like, I guess the question I'd have for that, and I'm guessing we don't know an answer. There are certain restrictions of how close a tree could be planted to an underground utility. And would you be able to work with MGE to have the electric in such a place that you could replace the tree? Or so replace the utility so that you could plant a tree where the current driveway is or in that area, so it wouldn't interfere with the underground power or water main.
That would be my intent, is that I would prefer not to have the electricity or the water lateral be above or below where this new potentially tree would be located. I don't want the roots to grow into the water main. I don't want them to grow into the sewer lateral. I know roots are pretty large. Can MGE bring the power line or the electricity in on the west side of the property along the west side of the new driveway? That's something for them to determine. I'm not MGE. Would I like it that location along the right side of the driveway going into the garage, or the right side of the garage? Yes, I'd love it over there. Currently, there's no pedestal or pole in that location, so we would have to do an underground burial. We'd have to dig, and then we'd shoot underneath the street and then pull it up right at the house. It's not too challenging. I'm sure it's been done before. It just means that some of the terrace across the street might have to get dug up in order to accommodate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phil, do you think that the homeowner is interested in spading out the current terrace tree and using it on their property?
I actually don't know. I did not know that was an option. I thought that was your tree, the city of Middleton's tree. And so I did not know that that could be picked up and put anywhere besides on Middleton property.
What I think that the forester would be amenable to that as opposed to simply removing the tree and disposing of it.
If the tree has to
If-
be removed.
If the
If
tree
the
has to be
doesn't have
removed,
It
right?
should stay.
And if a terrace tree is then also,
Yeah, so I maybe to reiterate, why is that? Buzz?
Katie, can you turn it down a little bit?
Sure.
I'm sure it might be why the microphone sound funny. I don't know.
okay,
Maybe.
Yeah, so I think if this commission approves this request, our standard operating would be to remove the tree, so cut it down, grind out the stump, replace the grindings with soil and seed, although there's a driveway going in here. So depending on the timeline between the removal, or the contractor could remove that tree as part of the construction of the driveway.
mhm.
What would the cost be typically? Like, let's assume that the construction,
For a new tree?
yeah, for a new tree, new plot, new install.
Our 2025 development planting fee is, I'm gonna say 475. Does that sound right?
I think a little bit lower than that.
420?
Yeah,
420 or 475.
Yeah,
One of
I
those
think
two
it's-
is correct.
420 was the last one approved.
Then 420.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we couldn't get more information once the underground electric lines and so on, because it seems like that needs to be, we need to know
Yeah, and
that issue, and then we could answer the question
the
based on that information.
the placement of the electric underground, if it's underground, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. The main thing that we need to plant around is water sewer. So we need 10 feet from that water sewer. The electric, we can be closer. So if it remains overhead, then it's not a planting site for a large shade tree.
So I guess what I'm saying is we need the builder and the owner to make the decisions of what they want there. And then we make our decision based on that.
I think
Because
it's-
right now, we've got multiple options to try to make a decision on, and that's a little confusing.
It also sounds like they don't know where, if MGE can move the electric further off to the east, you know, to go along with the new driveway. Although it sounds like that might be, if you bore it the right way, that could be a possibility. And
like Kevin was
It's
just
unknown.
saying that the electricity is not as big of a factor for a new planting as the sewer lateral is. So if
Right.
the overhead becomes underground and it's on the far west side of the property, that gives us some more leniency to keep that a new tree, potential new tree, right where the existing driveway currently is located, or to the east side or the west side of the driveway.
Right. Any other questions or thoughts?
In my mind, it sounds like it will be feasible to replace the plot that's removed, get a new planting site in. The cost is kind of what stands out to me. I mean, we'd be ashamed to kill or potentially injure a young tree. But again, I think the cost is the main concern in my mind, at least personally.
And I think I would be of the opinion that since this request is being given to the city for a construction project, that the cost would be assumed by the construction project, not the city.
Yes.
Like, this should not cost the city any money to do this.
Yeah.
The
Nick,
removal, the stump grinding will happen naturally, but the removal and the planting of a new tree should not fall on the city's dime.
Yeah.
That is what happened in the construction of Middleton Hills. When people wanted to move a tree, even before anything was even built, if they wanted to move the tree, they had to pay for putting in the tree.
Makes sense.
I agree.
So, yeah, so I think you could approve the request contingent on rehabilitation of the driveway and burial of the electric.
To create
And-
to create a tree planting.
With the
site.
purpose being to create a new tree site.
Yeah, and the other contingency would be that the builder assumes all costs. Does that also have to be part of a motion?
And the tree could go in front of a neighbor's house even. We
Right,
just need to get
yeah,
a tree in that
Yes,
area.
yes. But if, you know, we can't require the homeowner to use the current tree in their own yard, but I think that would be a nice, wonderful addition.
If they want to go
if they're
in and
able
dig it
to.
up, they could.
Yeah.
do
I was
it
gonna say, if we approve it, it sounds like it's your tree, so.
Yeah.
themselves.
Okay, so I'd accept a motion if anybody's willing to make one.
Yeah, I motion to approve contingent on the builder paying all fees associated, being responsible for the tree removal, and attempting to relocate or create a new plot contingent on burying electrical, as long as it meets city ordinance, as well as being financially responsible for any costs associated with creating a new plot if that's on your site or other.
Okay. I think that covered most of it.
This assures that the city gets a tree
Yes.
somewhere.
All right, so we do have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
So they're removing the tree then,
Yes, they would be responsible for costs and everything, yeah.
and then they should, if they want to, they should move it into their yard if they,
Mhm.
if
Yes.
they want.
Yeah.
If the owner wants to, that's up to them.
All right, hearing no other discussion on the motion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, Phil, do you have direction? Otherwise, you can be in touch with Kevin and or Kylie moving forward.
I should be good. I just want to apologize. When I was talking to Kevin, it didn't sound like I was able to speak at the meeting, which is why I did not show up. I just thought I was there I thought I was only able to listen unless I had physical comments to make before the meeting was happening. So I apologize.
Nope, no worries. Well, thank you for joining us this evening.
Yep. Thank you very much.
All right, on to our next agenda item, the swing set at Was it Woodside Heights Park?
Mhm.
Yes, all right.
Sometimes this takes like a little bit to get the attachments, but overall, this was presented to you when we went through, or this topic was brought up at a previous meeting with Civmic, our insurance company for the city did a inspection on all the playgrounds. And one of the notable compliancy issues came up for Woodside Heights Park. And that was due to the fall zone of the swing set, the current swing set at Woodside Heights being non-compliant. And then during the last few months, or in July, the swing like chain link and hardware started to deteriorate, which city staff deem as unsafe, and they precautionarily removed the belt swings just for safety of any users. So the belt swings have been removed. The framework is still there, but we can't simply replace the belt swings on that swing set because the fall zone is non-compliant. And so it was noted that that hardware was already something to take a look at with Civmic's review of our playgrounds, and then just showing their observation with our fall zone being uncompliant. And with that site, we're not, oh goodness. I might not have pulled that up right away. So let me just, with that site, I'm struggling here. We aren't able to just simply replace the swing set, or a like swing set, or move out the borders enough that it would be compliant with the fall zone. So because with the path there, that's too tight with the current swing set, and we would have to look at a few different options. So what we did as staff, we got a hold of the manufacturer of the new play set that was installed, and that play set that was installed was in our 25-year playground replacement program. And for that, in 2019, it's earmarked for full replacement in 2044. And so just to kind of highlight the year of target replacement, 2044. The current issue at hand is to remove this playground, or to remove this swing set, or look at options of replacing it with a swing set at the park, and how it would fit just based off of grade and space and fall zone. So we took a look at an option, and option one, or let me go back here. Option 1 and 2, and highlight a 2-bay swing option. And so I'll just kind of highlight these. This was provided by the playground manufacturer, and if it's too small, or if you need me to answer any questions of what you're looking at, let me know. But option 1 and 2 are basically the same. They have, they just have different, these are 2 tot swings and 2 belt swings. The other one has an ADA swing and a tot swing next to it. So just kind of options or variations of swings and what they can be in bays. That's something the staff and we can determine, but we try to get an ADA swing and a tot swing and belt swing just for all abilities. So we probably look at option 2 versus option 1 to meet more accessibility needs throughout our playground system. But just to highlight, option 1 and 2 is basically this outline right here, and it would be removal of this swing set and replacement, or placement of a new swing set in this location, but removal of the current sandbox to meet for that fall zone. And then option number 3. I couldn't get this on a map like I did the first one. So option number 3 is a 2-bay swing set, just 2 belt swings. And, oh, I'm struggling here. I'm so sorry. Right here. So the 2-bay swing set would actually face north and south. And with the grading change that falls off here, it would be moved a little bit this way. So about where my mouse is going back and forth would be where that structure would be located to meet the fall zone. And so those are the 3 options that we took a look at for swing sets to go back into this this park. What I'm asking for, or I'm recommending, is that we don't move towards placing a swing set for Woodside Heights Park, just due to the cost implication, and we don't have this in our operating budget, and it would have to be built into our playground replacement program. And we're 3 years or 3 playgrounds behind, and that would have to chip into our playground replacement, thus deterring how quickly we can get through the playground replacement program. I'm not sure if any of you were around during the selection of the playground that's currently located at Woodside Heights and why a swing set wasn't included. The current swing set that is included is a very old piece of equipment that wasn't replaced during the 2019 replacement. I think it's really important to note that when we do replacements, there's several playground users that will want to keep playground equipment for nostalgia, and it's something that we don't want to run into this issue again of not meeting compliance and safety. So just as we're moving forward toward our playground replacement and making policy decisions in that aspect. And then for this one, I outlined 4 options, and the 4th option would not to be placing a swing set at this location. That's staff's recommendation, but up for discussion and your review and recommendation as the commission.
I would want to keep a swing set there, and I would like option 3 over there because people use it a lot. And I think taking that away would be really sad.
I would preface, I don't have any money for this. That's the only thing that, like, if we want a swing set, where do we find the funding? Because it isn't in our operational budget. That's the only thing I wanted to also know.
Kylie, when is when is Woodside up for the ADA compliance thing
Oh,
upgrade?
So the upgrade, currently what we have in place right now is the playground replacement program, and that would be up in 2044. And so if we ever wanted to do out of cycle playground replacements or playground additions, that would be something we could bring back and take a look at during our capital improvement planning, and then also our court planning, which is coming up as well. And noting that we have several needs in the community and what ones are to be prioritized, I think it needs to go through the court rather than off cycle, out of cycle or out of planned.
Remind me what CORP means again.
Oh, yes, thank you. The CORP is the Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan that we're going through the undertaking right now to kind of write the 5-year improvement plan. What's going to be executed from that is a 5-year improvement plan that's feasible for us as a community to select. Here's various improvements that we want to move forwards with. So if it is a swing at Woodside Heights, that would come out of the playground or come out of the court plan as an identified need for that park. And I,
Can you
yeah.
predict when that could happen?
So in the court plan, what happens is
No, when? Or plan going forward?
I'm not The court plan is under, or the process of planning right now.
I guess
And-
maybe, let me ask, if you could put it in some way, is there a way to get a swing set before 2044?
That's what, the court plan is a 5-year plan,
Yeah.
so it will start in 2027 and be 5 years out, and it identifies all the capital improvements for 5 years, so if it's an identified need, it would,
be in that time.
it would be in that time period, but it also has to be funded on an annual basis through council.
I'm saying this is something that we could put in as a budget request in a future year too.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, just to kind of keep an amenity in the park.
Because this is a capital request.
Yes.
Which is much easier to get through council than a personnel staffing request. Because I don't think we have the levy limits on the capital request.
I also want to underscore that 2044 is only feasible if we get back on track for timeline. We're currently behind.
I think this is a popular park, you know, it's got the
Mhm.
pond, people go there a lot. So I think that'll be felt if they just take it away.
I think the one thing I'll say is that, you know, my kids are now beyond the age of swings, but when they were of the age of swings, swings are something that at every park they went to, they A, used, and B, often had a line. Like kids really had to take turns. They're a very popular amenity at every park. And I know we have a lot of parks, a lot of swing sets. There's a reason why we have swing sets at every park. Because they're popular. So I'm not 100% comfortable with saying, let's just skip this for now and, but I understand too, we don't have the budget for it right now. But if we could think about
Then maybe, yeah.
finding the funding or finding some funding from somewhere to request something from council, or I'm not sure how that would work, but
Even putting it into not this coming, not the 26 budget, but the
Yeah.
2027 capital budget.
And the capital budget will be based off of the court plan.
Mhm.
But that might be, I like what everybody's saying, or I'm hearing what everybody's saying, that swings are important here. And I guess, the notion was that right now we don't have the funding identified for it. But if swings are the preference of the, commission here at this park location, then I think, to identify that it's a need, as, the court plan rolls out, and then also kind of to take a look at, there's gonna be an issue of, do we remove the sandbox, or do we put a 2-bay belt swing or 2-bay tot swing in this location? There's kind of, either you're gonna be servicing older kids or younger kids, or you're going to be removing a sandbox. So that's something I'd like your weight in on, when we get to, the stage of, selecting the appropriate swing set and improvement for this park.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, a motion might be to eliminate the swing set for this year, to request the capital funds for swing set to be added for the 2027 budget. At
Actually,
which,
you haven't approved the 2026 budget yet, have you?
we've gone through that process, yeah.
Council.
Well, council, I don't think, I don't know if council has taken that up yet,
no, not the whole thing.
but we have submitted our requests.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, could it be added
Uh,
to the 2026? I mean, we're talking,
I'm
4,000?
thinking no. I think no.
It's already been submitted for the mayor's approval. That's too late at this period.
Oh, okay, okay. So a motion might be to take the unsafe swing set away now. Next year to request that it be a capital expense and add it to the capital budget request so that we get swings back in there.
Do we have an idea what the price differences would be across our first three options?
Yes.
Yeah, they were on
I,
the quote at the top.
But isn't that just the equipment that's not installed and
Yeah.
and everything like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, this is, right now, I just have, the, um, the, the equipment. Oh my goodness. And I don't have the border or the base
Sure.
and all of that stuff. So, yeah, good note.
Kylie, doesn't option 3 offer the most options in terms of ADA compliance and so on?
It would be, option 2 with the ADA seat, the two
Okay.
belt inclusive ADA seat and one top seat. So,
I would say just ask for option 2 with sufficient funds for installation for the 2027 budget.
Well, I like
And-
option 3 because I don't like taking a sandbox away. I don't know.
in option 3, oh yeah, option 3 is just 2 belt swings or 2 tot swings, either
But no ADA.
or we could do ADA and 1 tot or ADA and 1 belt in 1 bay.
How many bays are there right now?
There's 1 bay.
Okay.
But nope, there's 2 bays. 4 swings. That's correct. And also to note, the ADA swing does not, once we do if we get funding and we roll out for an ADA transition plan and then go through and do an audit, an ADA swing is a good effort, but it doesn't meet compliancy because to get to the ADA swing, I hope that we get that funded and that can shed some light on,
Okay.
compliancy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if we're doing this in connection with the core plan, it feels like we're gonna be required to have that ADA seat, right?
The,
In order to bring the entire park up to ADA compliance when we,
the court plan is going to highlight ADA compliance as a goal. And anytime we redo anything, so anything new, we want to increase ADA compliancy.
excuse me.
But that ADA transition plan is really gonna highlight, the court won't be able to give very, very, very specific requirements or needs of a park or of a playground set to meet compliancy in that transition plan will. The corp will kind of touch on it, but that's not the main purpose. And
Well, am I right in thinking that we should be thinking about something in the lines of $10,000
yeah,
for our capital requests for next budget requests session next year? Because we're going to have to try to have more ADA stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, are you looking for a motion?
I'm looking for a motion. We do not have to make a decision on what option we're gonna go to with tonight. I think that's something that, mainly because we don't have funding for it right now. We could talk,
That's why I said eliminate, so.
Yeah.
I-
yeah, but, this is something if we wanted to think about for next year, as we go through the court process, keep this in the back of our minds to make sure that this gets included in a court. And then next year, when we are talking about the 2027 budget, we can come back into this and throw that into the request for the playground and with the playground replacement as well. Actually, I wouldn't even put this with playground replacement. This would be a separate line item, but that's to be determined. So yes, looking for a motion.
So
Right.
you want a motion to include this in the 2027, in the court plan for budgeting in 2027?
I think we need to basically have a motion saying we support a swing set at this location
Okay,
with the understanding that it may not get done within the next calendar year. That makes sense.
Mhm. I don't think we should promise a year.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
we do the court plan. I'm trying to be more direct about that,
Yeah.
that's what's gonna drive our capital improvement plan.
All right. Here we go. I will move that we eliminate the faulty swing set from Woodside Park and that we attempt to replace that swing set in a future budget request.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, agenda item number 4, the lease with the Meritor land out by the Beltline and
Wait.
airport.
Number 3.
Oh, number 3, oops.
Peace-
Oh, Peace Bowl,
Peace
sorry.
Bowl.
Went the wrong way. Up the house, a little too far. Installation of the Peace Bowl at Lakeview Park.
Yeah, I don't think we have anybody on here from Rotary Club. So this has come to us from West Madison Middleton Rotary Club as a request to install a peace pole in Lakeview Park. They are currently working with city staff to upgrade and have made a $2,500 donation to redeck the pier at Lakeview Park. This pier, to be specific, at Lakeview Park. And so they're looking at a location to install a peace pole kind of near the entrance, near this area, as they currently have a sign in place noting Rotary's donation and dedication of the pier that they did several years ago. And it was my suggestion or through communication that they wanted to remove the current signage that's not in a good condition and replace it with a new plaque, a concrete base, and to place the peace pole. So you ask, what is a peace pole? That is my question as well.
Yes, Kylie, what is a peace pole? What does it look like?
The peace pole is something that Rotary clubs around the nation have been installing in public lands or where they deem fit in the community, and it is basically looks like this in various languages that they select, but it states, "May peace prevail on earth," and whatever languages they select, I believe they had selected several languages, which I don't know off the top of my head here.
They were listed
They were
somewhere.
listed.
Yeah, wasn't
so-
it, English, Spanish, Chinese, and
Hmong.
Hmong?
Yeah, that sounds right. Thank you for helping me out. So the several languages then as you identified that that poll would be celebrated in the park, and they were looking at doing a celebration event, Rotary Club for donating it and notifying the community through their efforts.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I guess my only question would be, because I know they were purchasing the pole and then we were gonna do the labor and the putting the actual 4x4 in, so I just was curious what that cost.
So I haven't gotten all of this information, or all of that together. I was willing to do the like the labor install for this. And we typically do, support, improvements in the park with, the install of a pole with hardware, but as far as the concrete, we didn't get that cost yet, but that would be something for them to incur, for a new plaque or, the concrete and all the materials install. I am willing to work with them on that because we always like to ensure that the install goes well for our long-term maintenance plan for the park. So that's something we like to
So
offer.
Kylie, we have the staff to do it if they would pay for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm explaining.
Okay.
I would move approval if they allow the city to install it, but at their expense, written a little
But-
more.
Before we consider a motion, I want to ask, there was a mention of an ADA, the ADA pier in the question and potential impact of that. How realistic is that, or did I misread and misremember? It would be on the,
What is that again?
like on this page. No, that number two,
Oh,
just that
three.
document.
Oh, yeah.
Proposed location is near the accessible fishing dock. I don't, as long as it wouldn't actually impact it. I
Oh,
just saw that was
the-
mentioned and would
yeah,
wanna ensure that
okay.
it wouldn't actually.
No, and that's where we haven't, this, came to me very late and they were looking at holding their event with the Rotary Works, event that's coming up very quickly, so I was trying to be, maybe a little bit more reactive than I typically am with agenda items, but I figured that staff could work out a location near, and I kind of largely circled around here. But I would have to meet with my parks foreman to ensure the location is, and for accessibility needs as well. So.
Awesome. Awesome, that answers my
Maybe it
question.
can be set against. the day.
So we do have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Right, motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, now on to the Merida Recreation Land Lease.
All right. So this one, we currently have a lease, to, use the Meritor site as, for recreational purposes. And so this lease, was created, and let me pull up a map here.
Oh, I see.
Go out
I see.
to where we're talking about here. So this large parcel.
Hmm.
Oh, I did actually make a map, didn't I?
Yes.
So, this is highlighting the, parcel there for Meritor. So we currently have a lease in place to utilize this for recreational purposes. This lease was created during, COVID, timeframe, to expand, as we had more outdoor recreation. And we have had a field rental with True Lacrosse. Over the years, True Lacrosse, in discussions, we were talking about maintenance and how much it takes to mow a 13 and a bit, what was it? Over 13 acres, chunk of land, and how much, so the True Lacrosse was only renting it out in the fall time, but we had to maintain the space, all year long, so mowing in the spring all the way to late fall during our mowing season. This would take at a minimum 5 hours of time to mow this parcel, and on a weekly basis, and it depends on growing season. So we were in communication with True Lacrosse to figure out if they can find a new location or if they'd like to cover the cost of our staff mowing the parcel for an entire year so they could use it. They, in short, found a new location, and we are looking at terminating this lease. I've been in communication with the city attorney, Meritor Hospital, and they are good to terminate mutually. And I have a letter ready to submit tomorrow for the termination. We had some compliance issues with mowing, so it looks to be off of our plate for 2026 and the rest of this year, if you guys.
Yes, I have one concern in that we've got a significant number of apartment buildings there with no parks easily accessible around them. And I know when I've driven by recently, I've seen people at least out there from a distance playing in it. So I guess I just see it as an area that needs some sort of public recreation area.
In all of our public recreation is based off of a service map, and that service map identifies the service coverage for the entire city. So we can definitely look at that during our court planning. We have a park that we've been going through a conversation and is with a developer in that area, in this location that we've been accepting land for, and which would service the apartments in this location. This isn't going to be made into a park. I think with all of the new trails and our 5 new parks coming online, we need to be very resourceful with how we're utilizing our staff and with maintenance costs. I do not think
As
this is
I
a good
say,
idea.
Until we can get those things. I mean, we've been working on that park down by the creek for years, 6 or 7.
But this is also not city of Middleton owned land.
No,
So
I
we
know.
really can't,
We can't,
yeah,
but-
we can't like, say to Meritor, could we please continue to use this as parkland? Because eventually they, well, other than the
Well, I'm
maintenance
not
piece of it, but-
suggesting it to be
Mhm.
a permanent parkland, but until they want to develop it and we don't have an alternative, this is an underserved.
Oh, it is,
neighborhood.
it is.
So you're
And if
saying, yeah, so you're saying that you'd like my our city staff to spend resources on mowing at least at minimum from 5 hours on
And
this plot?
Part of it, maybe?
What? No,
Maybe just
that's
a part
not,
of it.
that's not a part of the lease. So the lease is that city
have
staff
to-
would mow and maintain the entire
Okay.
property up to code, which is below 8 inches. So if that's what you'd like to see our city's
Yeah.
resources spent on, then we would have to throw something off the plate.
Or renegotiate a different lease where you're only mowing part of it.
For what use? Because we haven't had use for 2 years in that site, other than residents using it for their dogs and
I was gonna say, tell Meritor to put in their own dog park. It'd be very popular and they could, they could
Yep.
sell
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah.
I move that we terminate the lease on the Meritor recreation land.
Okay, a motion, do we have a second?
I'd second.
A motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? Right, hearing,
Just would like to see that. I will also say I did get an email from Hans Hilbert as president of Friends of Pheasant Branch asking if we couldn't lease it to some other entity to play soccer there.
That would be up to Meritor,
Yeah.
I think.
yeah, that's completely up to
You know?
Meritor.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, no.
Right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
not
their
100%,
land. It's
yeah.
not up to us, I'm
Yeah.
afraid.
It's not.
So if the other entity wants to approach Meritor and ask about leasing it, they can do so. But
Yeah.
we do not have any role in that. So.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna say no, because I really want to support the residents there.
Motion does carry. All right. On to our next agenda item, which, our Gessling, making an announcement for her.
Yep, this is just a special quick note here to highlight Laura Gessling, our Assistant Director for Parks and Recreation for Recreation, has successfully passed her Certified Park and Rec Professional exam through the National Park and Rec Association. This is a large lift and took a lot to acquire this certification. We have 3 certified staff and we have future staff to get certified within this accreditation program.
Go Laura.
Yeah.
Right. Next agenda item will be the park improvement project design process.
Okay, so we have several new members on on the commission, and I think it's really important to highlight as we continue to do park improvement projects. And tonight, I just want to run through my process as the staff liaison and how I'm project managing, and just get your insight and questions, and if there's more we can do or add to design process and kind of where PRFC fits into this puzzle. And if you guys need more communication on how this transpires and a timeline, I try to give an overview as every project is a little different from first to the next, or from one to another. So this is highlighting, park improvement projects that are over $25,000. So $25,000 is, where we hit to the public bid process. So anything $25,000 and over, we go through the public bidding process. So I'm outlining this if you guys would like to see other projects that are under $25,000. We can always add that to a future agenda. But phase one, and this is also really important, because you guys play a key role in the design process, and I don't want to be moving backwards on any projects. I think we've had a few struggles, as we're going through, and I can learn to adapt in that as well. But phase one for project identification, how do we know what is a project? How do we know what we're prioritizing as a project? Projects are identified through our 5-year comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. And through site assessments and maintenance needs and other planning documents. So site assessments, such as CIVMIC, doing the site assessment of all the playgrounds, and then planning documents such as the ADA transition plan. But those everything should basically feed into our court plan, because that will identify the capital improvements. And what I really like about the court plan is that it's not just something that staff identifies, and I'm not just making up a 5-year plan of what I think is most important, or the staff team, but we really involve the public. So throughout that entire process, we have multiple means where the public can be involved, and that is really important that we get everybody's voice to the table, and we're creating a document for the entire community. So at the end of that, we produce the 5-year plan, and from that 5-year plan, then that's really where the capital improvement plan comes from, that 5-year capital improvement plan. It doesn't mean something can't come out of cycle or not be identified in the court plan and come up as a part of a larger issue in the community. And that would be a policy question for you all to determine how to prioritize projects. So staff helps facilitate and guide the process, and then PRFC reviews and recommends approval and adoption of the corp. In a future meeting, I will be providing a timeline of the corp and where you guys play into identifying all the needs and approving and being a part of the process of the corp plan. And then the court plan goes to Finance Personnel Committee for review and recommend of adoption to Common Council for final adoption. And then funding and scheduling are established to the capital improvement plan. Staff helps prepare the CIP based off of the court site assessments, maintenance needs, and other planning documents. PRFC reviews and recommends approval of the CIP based off of the corp and identifies needs and priorities communicated by city staff. That goes to Finance Common Council, not right to Common Council. So I'll have to add that in there, but Finance Personnel Committee and then Common Council for ultimate approval of the CIP. That basically right there identifies a project. So once we get moving on a project, we really take several steps to identify that it is a need. And so noting that, like, if there is a Parisi Park shelter was identified through this process, then we know that it's a need in the community and we don't have to continue having those discussions at a later time. I think that's an example that I'd like to provide. And then concept development. So staff recommends hiring consultant engineer through agreement for design, public input gathering, surveying, and bidding services. So basically from start to sending out to bid, we hire a consultant and we pay that money and we agree to pay that money to them for those services. So Peer of C, Finance, Common Council, it goes through that process of review and approval. And then once the consultant is hired, they prepare preliminary design concepts and develop cost projections. So, you guys will be able to see what the cost estimates are, and here's some designs to take a look at. And then that's your time to say, we don't want parking here, we want, the playground to be located here, we want to see more tree plantings, however that might look, you make all those recommendations, to help identify the next revision. And that also goes with community input. We either have a listening session or surveying, our comment forms, or do a various ways to gather community input based off of the project. Once that input's gathered, we, from you and from the public, we refine the design, to go in line as much in line as possible, or provide, more limited options. We don't like to go from 3 options to 7 options. That would be moving backwards. We like to start to narrow it down at this time. Once we refine the design options, the commission approves the preferred concept. So you basically say, this is our concept plan that we're endorsing. And that's ultimately your decision when it comes to designing. We do have some caveats to that where the council may get involved. But typically, design rests in your hands as long as it follows the budgeting process and all of that. And then we get to final design. So you're like, we want to go with this design, make these few changes. And staff works with the consultants to prepare construction drawings, and we prepare a 90% complete and bring it back to you. So it's not 100% ready for bidding, but we get it almost there. Once it's almost there, we bring it back. You're like, what about this? What about this? Or this looks good to go. And then we follow our bid process, which is a public bid process, and there's a very strict timeline on the bid process. And that's where we do an addendum to the agreement with the consultant, because they would finish up bidding process, but we would want them to do construction oversight. And then, so we look at moving through the addendum of construction oversight. And then I'm missing that, or like the bid acceptance, I guess, in here is like the bid, we go through the bid process and then it comes back and we have that projected cost. That projected cost might have been $100,000 and it might have came in at $70,000, or it might have came in at 150, but we, the consultant does the best guesstimate, I guess. And then once we get those final numbers, we don't see those until bid opening. Once we get those final numbers, we come back and staff tries to figure out the best course of action to move forward, because the project was identified 5 stages ago that it was a priority for the community through an entire year-long process. So I just wanted to go through this and see if people had questions. And also, this is really informative for a lot of our newer members, or just to kind of re-go through. This is the process that I'm typically following, so, and where you're involved.
Right. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much for that. On to park project updates.
All right, just real quick here. So park project updates, if you go to our city's website, we have all of our park projects our larger park projects that we have going on, an overview of it, location status, estimated schedule, Alder, and a project update that we try to, do as frequently as possible, so that the community, knows what's going on, and then just usually a concept image of that project. If there's more you'd like to see on this page that you would think, would be helpful for the community, we just started developing this. But Precy Park Shelter, is also on here. They're starting with setup, in a couple days here. So, that's another, that project. And then basketball court reconstruction. I'm not going through all the details of every one of these tonight, but just, to show you where to find some more information. One thing I will note is we're closing the dog park for almost 4 days, for maintenance. And that will start on, September, 22nd, up at MRD Dog Park. So Penny Klein will be available and open for dog park users during that time, along with all of the, other dog parks in the, dog park cooperative program, that they can use their park permit for. And this is just for maintenance, updates, and for safety, to address some safety concerns that have been made, over the, previous months. So that'll be, in the coming weeks here. But all of this we're hoping to keep, this updated as much as possible. If you have any questions that residents might have, you can direct them to this, and also look here yourself.
All right, any questions?
Yeah, looks great. I know that's a lot of
Yeah,
work,
cool.
but I know as a citizen, I always appreciate the updates, so.
Yeah, and I've been noticing that the city has done, not just the Parks Department, but the city as a whole has been doing a lot better job of getting some messaging out there, with projects around the city, and it's been nice to get it in multiple ways.
Multiple ways, yeah,
yeah.
I got the park thing for the dog park, a text and email, and
Yeah,
it's
I
just
did too.
great, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so. All right, on to liaison reports. Plan commission meeting last week, really nothing, we didn't really discuss anything that involved parks so much. There was a request to set a public hearing for changing to our future land use map, which we did not set the public hearing because we did not have a plan in front of us to warrant change to the future land use map. So if you do hear rumors of the demise of Imperial Garden, that is not happening yet. So I don't know if that
I was
has
just
been
gonna
going
ask
on.
you about-
Yes, this has been going on. Been reading about this a lot, and Imperial Garden is not going away yet, but can't go into too much discussion about that. The other one was that there's somebody who's hoping to build a new building out off of Airport Road, right off of the airport. It's going to be like a furniture kind of liquidator place. So they'll have a little retail area, but they want to build in the area which has a runway exclusion zone, essentially. I forget what exactly they call it, but essentially it's at the end of the runway to make sure that, hey, if a plane actually crashes, it doesn't crash into anything. They're trying to get that taken care of so they can build their building. It's really, and then we're also updating, we made some updates to the lighting ordinance last year. And as we found with the zoning ordinance, once you have something in place for a year or so, you start to see where things have gone wrong or where you might need to make tweaks. So just a few minor tweaks we're making to the lighting ordinance, trying to implement as many dark sky friendly policies as possible, which includes making sure that there's not a lot of neon in our city, talking about the temperature of some of the lighting around the city, making sure that lighting kind of faces down a lot more. So try to be as friendly as possible to dark sky initiatives. So that was it. All right. Conservancy lands. Did you have any?
It's Pollock, not Shaw. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It's Erica.
I guess they released the pathway. I don't know if this does have to do with parks. I don't know. The Heinz Woodland Path, which is behind Pheasant Branch by Goodwill. There's apartments that have a path to go that they were taken care of. So they're releasing the easement for that. And I think There's just the master plan for Graver Pond, they went over that, the draft and the draft of the box unit master plan. Missed anything? Look over those plans. Check it out.
And community campuses work is done, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah, this section I had laid
Okay.
out for every agenda,
Okay.
and then I didn't update this
Okay.
number, so
All right.
remove number 3.
Right, so with that, we have no more agenda items, so I will declare us adjourned. Thank you all very much for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you.
What happened was they